go. Now, Omashar is my witness. Before the show began, our trailer played perfectly, but now it's
No, as Omashar as your witness, it was true. I second that.
Oh,
so
I believe it. I see that happen all the time on Zooms.
yep. All right, we're gonna try that again. Here we go.
What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Mute. Welcome to the Awakening World. I'm Love Coach Scott Katamas, and I'm with Lori Grace, who's my primary guest tonight. And we are going to have a community conversation. So I'm really hoping that many of you will be ready to kind of participate, because we're going to be talking about a new film series that we're going to be launching. As some of you know, we've been doing hybrid events with Lori and the Sunrise Center, where people can come to the Sunrise Center and be with us in person. But for those of you who are not in the Bay Area, you join us live. And we're going to talk about why this film series is so important to Lori, get your feedback, get your opinion, and have Lori get a chance to know all of you a little bit, and for you to get to know Lori so that we can establish better connection. But we also have, before we do that, we're of course going to have an Omashar song, but I want to right off the bat introduce our birthday girl, one of our great global peace drivers. She was at both the retreat in Sedona, the retreat in LA. It's Bonnie's birthday. And happy birthday, Bonnie. Oh, you need to unmute.
Say it again.
Happy birthday.
Thanks so much for all your birthday wishes on Facebook, etc. I appreciate it, and I love all of you.
And Bonnie, I would love to hear, as your Global Peace Tribe family, as we're holding space for you, what vision can we hold for you for this new cycle around the sun?
Well, I would love to have some kind of spiritual breakthrough through meditation. I have a real blockage that I've had for forever, and I just need to keep at it, meditating every day, and I need to make that a point in starting and ending my day.
So we're going to hold the vision for a spiritual breakthrough, and that your meditation and just kind of a spiritual ease coming into your life. Would that be accurate?
Absolutely.
Okay, good, good. I'm gonna bring up your beloved brother Omashar. Hey, Omashar, it's Bonnie's birthday.
Happy birthday, sweetheart. And
Thank you.
I guess we could sing you a song, and it won't be Over the Rainbow. It'll be Under the Radar. How about that one? So
Here we go with an Omashar song.
What? We're gonna sing Happy Birthday.
Okay. Yeah. You
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Hang on a minute. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bonnie. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you,
Thank
Bonnie, for being such a wonderful part of Global Peace Tribe, and Roger, thank you for taking such good care of Bonnie. You two are precious to us all.
As are you.
And Roger, you've been to Lori's Sunrise Center. You guys
Yes.
are up in the Sacramento area, so I know-
Roseville.
Roseville. So you've come down.
Yeah.
Okay, well, happy birthday. And we are going to swing into our Omashar song, and then we're going to swing into our program with Lori.
The one I am has always been here, whispering songs of life and love. Come with knowing our day draws nearer. Come with joy and endless love. Sacred dancing breathes our hearts on, and silent yearning keeps alive. A union blessed before beginning, preordained beyond all time. Each step I take is one step closer to you. A joyous stride into the new. Each breath I breathe takes me inside your heart. Now I remember how to feel, and I remember how to fly. The one I am, I am that I am. The one I am, I am that I am. The one I am, I am that I am. Open to our sacred merger, and shedding tears of divine bliss. Every movement tells a story, and nothing could compare with this. understanding and breathing light through every word. Our lives become so undemanding, finally seen, finally heard. Each step I take is one step closer to you, a joyous stride into the new. Each breath I breathe takes me inside your heart. Now I remember how to feel, and I remember how to fly. When I am that I am. The one I am. I am that I am. The one I am. I am that I am.
That's all. Twinkle, our beloved Omar Shar.
Thank you.
And it's fun to see Adora has somebody dancing with her. And
No,
it's
that
fun to
rocks.
see Ian and Eleanor are together. And it's always wonderful to see Lynn and Leaf Up dancing. So thank you, everybody, for moving and grooving to the music. And it is a 3-song night. So we'll be having a lot more Omar Shar tonight. And we're going to turn our attention right now to Lori. And I see Lori right off the bat, Susan B. wrote, Lori, I was very proud to see the cancer film. These informative films from trusted sources are really one of the few ways for us to get information. Thank you.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah. So
Wonderful.
tell us a little bit about your inspiration for Sunrise Center and then for showing these movies that we've been doing and that we are going to do.
My inspiration for Sunrise Center is to create a place to show and present on different topics at different times.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of things that are of concern, but right now I'm concerned about our elections.
Mhm.
And I'm concerned about the preservation of democracy. I'm concerned about fair elections.
Mhm.
So I have some different things going on.
Yeah.
And these movies can begin to show people how our elections are potentially unfair and our upcoming presidential election is potentially influenced in a wrong way,
Yeah.
which is a dishonest way, which doesn't represent the will of the people.
You know, one of the things I know I'm going to put you on the spot about this, but I'd love for you to share with the audience how you made a difference when Obama was elected.
Well, I was working with a group of 5 people, and that's usually, you know, what Margaret Mead used to say, a group of 5 people working together are people who can really make things happen and change things.
Mhm.
And I knew that our elections were challenged because I knew that Karl Rove had hired a strategist who could change elections, named Mike Connell. And Mike Connell made a deal with Karl Rove and Cheney that he could manipulate the votes in Ohio and certain other states and turn them around, flip them, if they would eliminate abortion in the United States. And he was very disappointed when Cheney and Rove did not organize political effort to eliminate abortion. He was very dedicated to trying to save children, adopt. And there are very good reasons at times not to get an abortion. And there are also many reasons to get one.
Mhm.
And that's coming up in our elections pretty seriously this time. So the whole issue of abortion I knew was a trigger issue for a long time.
Yeah. And so what are some things you did that helped turn the tide of that election?
Well, we tried to convince Mike Connell that that eliminating abortion by changing votes was not a fair way to go, and we even had a bishop talking to him. And but he could see the political tide was going against eliminating abortion, and so he became really disappointed. And towards the end, Karl Rove told Obama, who is in the battle with McCain, that how would you really like a great VP who's a right to lifer? And Karl Rove brought in Sarah Palin.
Mhm.
And McCain was saying, Sarah who? But no, actually he didn't know Sarah Palin at all.
Yeah.
And so there are all these manipulations behind the scenes.
Mm.
But what happened was McConnell was confronted also in court by Bob Petrakis and myself and different people right close to the election. And all the polls were showing all sorts of different things. And Obama said, well, if Business Insider Weekly shows that it's 3%, I'm going to go off with the election and push forward with it. And Rove decided that if there's a 3% difference, that he was going to back off.
Mm.
And there did end up being a 3% difference.
Mhm.
But like it is this time, at least was, that there was originally a 3% difference. Now, what's of concern to me, for reasons that we'll share, is that Trump is ahead in all of the polls. But this is, Democrats tend to write this off as, oh, it's 6 months in advance. And then other people who have a background in elections are concerned about it. And, some of you out there might be really supporting Trump. And I'm not making you wrong, but I want you to know that there's something called the Heritage Foundation that has made a very detailed map, if Trump wins, to take down American democracy, to eliminate the FBI, to eliminate EPA, to eliminate, throw out all restrictions on oil and gas drilling, to eliminate, did I say the FDA? I think that's the
FBI.
one. But the FDA
Yeah.
also, and to support maximum health freedom, which I generally support, but and then to give President Trump, should he get elected, the right to fire thousands of people from office on the first day. And they're already writing up the notices.
Because they are Democrats and not supportive of his agenda.
Yeah, and I mean, they could even be some independents, but anybody who is not doing, swearing complete loyalty to Trump and putting people in instead.
And also, my understanding is, having read a little bit about this document of what the agenda is, very harsh for Muslims, very harsh for transgender, very harsh for gay.
Yes, thank you for adding that.
There's that. And also changing the public school system, that the
Right.
public school system would become a Christian-based system.
Almost most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's changes that go beyond just what normally takes place with the presidential
And
election.
support diversity. I grew up in a very Republican family, and so I used to talking to people with different views. And I met one Trump supporter here in Marin, and you know, I said, I'm worried when Trump says he'll be a dictator for one day. Well, how can you be a dictator? How can you enjoy all that delicious power for one day?
And he said he said the first day.
Yeah, for
on the
one
first
day, the first day.
on the first day. Right.
Time to fire everybody. But this is of great concern to me because it's kind of what happened when Hitler
Yeah.
was elected.
Yeah.
And Hitler was elected not with an overwhelming majority at all, in
Yeah.
fact, a minority.
It's a scary time, and Global Peace Tribe, our shows are designed to inspire, but also to inform. And we don't take a official political stance, but we certainly support democracy and do perceive a threat to democracy. And that's why we're going to show some of these films. And I think maybe, Lori, I'll show the trailer for the first
Let me
film.
do the introduction.
Yeah,
first.
do the introduction. Tell us about The
So-
Great Hack.
So I want you to know, if some of you feel supportive of Trump, I'm happy to talk to you without judgment, okay? Or any kind of condemnation. I just want to see fairness in our elections, okay? So, and I don't want to make anybody wrong, okay? So the thing that the first movie, the Great Hack, is how your personal information, and even more so, any friends you have in swing states, is being absorbed into major databases. It started with Cambridge Analytica, and it created the first great surprise of the Trump presidency, together with things that Putin did, which I'll talk about at another time with a different movie. But this will show how your data is being absorbed to manipulate election results. And the next movie we go to after that is even more specific about it, going through church systems.
So next Friday night, a week from this Friday night, which is June 7th, we are going to be showing this movie, The Great Hack. And you can come watch it in person at the Sunrise Center. I know that Roger has been down to the Sunrise Center. Some of you in the Bay Area can come see it in person with us if you want. And of course, we'll also air it along with the film discussion afterwards for our Global Peace Tribe audience. I want to acknowledge that I know that a couple of the more recent attempts that we've had at doing hybrids, we had some technical issues. We've ironed those out. And so you guys will be able to feel a little more connected and participating. But we've had as many as 65 Global Peace Tribers coming to our film screening. So just put in your calendars, Friday night, June 7th at 7 p.m. Pacific time is when we're going to show The Great Hack. And here's the trailer for that movie.
Who has seen an advertisement that has convinced you that your microphone is listening to your conversations? All of your interactions, your credit card swipes, web searches, locations, likes, they're all collected in real time into a $1 trillion a year industry.
The real game changer was Cambridge Analytica. They worked for the Trump campaign and for the Brexit campaign. They started using information warfare.
Cambridge Analytica claimed to have 5,000 data points on every American voter.
I started tracking down all these Cambridge Analytica ex-employees.
Someone else that you should be calling to the committee is Brittany Kaiser.
Brittany Kaiser, once a key player inside Cambridge Analytica, casting herself as a whistleblower.
The reason why Google and Facebook are the most powerful companies in the world is because last year data surpassed oil in value. Data is the most valuable asset on Earth. We targeted those whose minds we thought we could change until they saw the world the way we wanted them to. I do know that their targeting tool was considered a weapon.
There is a possibility that the American public had been experimented on.
This is becoming a criminal matter. When people see the extent of the surveillance, I think they're going to be shocked.
And I still fear for your life.
Yeah.
With the powerful people that are involved.
But I can't keep quiet just because it'll make powerful people mad.
data rights should be considered just fundamental rights.
This is about the integrity of our democracy. These platforms which were created to connect us have now been weaponized. It's impossible to know what is what, because nothing is what it seems.
Mike?
You've seen the movie. Do you want to share a little bit more about anything else that you want
Well,
people to know about it?
I want people to know that their information is being absorbed and used for other reasons. Now, I think the people in the swing states are the most likely to be extensively targeted.
Mhm.
But these are, your information is used by people who are called influencers. And there's another movie where you'll see that Putin has spending right now over $1 billion, and he has a group of influencers using your data to influence your vote and designing fake news. Okay, so there's a lot of people who are vying to make this election what they want. And most of the people who are vying in not in really ways that are not reputable are frankly Russian or Republican.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that there aren't some good Republicans out there.
Of course there are.
And so I again don't want to just hammer on Republicans, but I want to bring forth the truth. And so how do you protect yourself with this sort of thing? Well, first of all, you can learn a bit how to determine fake news.
Mhm.
Now, there was a picture of Trump holding a Bible that was probably designed by Russia, and he had 6 fingers holding his Bible, okay? There's another one of Biden where his jaw is sticking out like this, and he has all these teeth like this. That was fake news, okay? Also. And there are more subtle things that are being done. So
I'm going to read some comments that have come in from all of you, and I'd love for all of you to comment. And also, I'm curious who did watch For God and Country, which was the recent movie we showed that was all about the Christian nationalist movement. I know Jerry was on that one. So I'd love to hear some of your comments about how you were impacted by For God and Country, and I'll read those comments. But here's some comments we already have. Richard writes, the entire system needs to go. Carol Craig actually has posted the entire 2025 playbook for Project 2025. That's what Lori was just talking about. This is a 925-page document. I know Lori has read the entire thing.
not thoroughly.
Oh, your boyfriend read it.
No, there's a 20-page summary with a bibliography under Wikipedia.
Okay.
It does a good summary, and it's done with quality titles and then little information under each section.
Okay.
So it's not that hard to get. So one thing to know that is particularly frightening is as we look at the dissolution of American democracy as we know it, and one thing we haven't looked at is the hacking of electronic voting machines. So if, for instance, there's a group, there's a voting machine in Manhattan that only doesn't count paper ballots. They just count when you press a button in a machine and you get a little readout. Okay, that can't be really recounted, okay? And if there are places like the state of New York or Pennsylvania that are 100% Trump, then and falsely, then what happens should Trump win, it becomes seen as a mandate
Right.
for the whole country that everybody wants Project 2025, you see, and the whole country is broken up into kind of a civil war, frankly, because I don't think people are going to go that easily.
Yeah. So let me read some of the comments from our audience. So Carol, these are her comments about reading, and she read all 920 pages. She writes, "It's frightening to me. It starts out soft enough, but I read it from back to front.
Wow.
It's 920 pages. By starting from back and coming forward, the first 50 pages sounded great, but the devil is in the details." So thank you, Carol, for, actually reading that. That's remarkable. And last thing from Carol, she says, "I'm starting to put my contingency plan into place. If the worst happens, I will leave the United States again and move to my house in Trinidad. I'll be there all summer putting things in place just in case I need to relocate there for the immediate future. I've heard from many people that they are doing the same. Like the guy who actually wrote the Art of the Deal for Trump, Tony Schwartz, he fears for his life. And I'm cautiously and offensively creating my safety net because intellectuals and scientists were the first targeted under a Hitler administration, and Trump is following his playbook." That's a quote from Tony Schwartz, who wrote the Art of the Deal for Trump.
Wow.
So that's pretty scary. Karen S. writes, "I've been warning my friends about what might happen, but many refuse to even try to understand. They don't believe that what happened in Germany could ever happen here. I pray that they wake up before it's too late." Kathy watched Forgotten Country. Adora watched Forgotten Country. Jude watched it and says, "It opened my eyes to how we got to where we are." Karen S. says, "I've been telling people about the film God and Country ever since you showed it." Jerry Anderson, who's a wild monk of the Mystic Monastery, that's Jerry up there, says, "God and Country was an awakening movie, well done, and was extremely impartial. It is scary." So thank you all for some of your comments so far.
And we also played a little, although it was made earlier as a movie, we played a little small YouTube that you played at my request that showed just as much fervor happening in 2024 in a rally in Pennsylvania, where they all are jumping up and down and saying, "USA, USA, USA." And then one of them begins to channel a voice from God saying that Trump is going to be our president, President Trump, and that this is, she's channeling it, okay? And yeah, I mean, that's definitely scary. And then a lot of these people, Christian nationalists, feel that God has elected them to help bring Trump to power. And to follow God is very, very important.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a serious situation.
Most people who go to war believe that they're doing God's bidding, right? They believe that they're doing God's work. And for those who missed Forgotten Country, what it helped me to understand is that the reason that Trump did get elected in 2016 and the people that were willing to go to the Capitol on January 6th and do what they did were primarily Christian nationalists who believe that they are doing God's bidding by supporting Trump. One thing is that Trump promised the evangelicals and the Christian nationalists, "If you elect me, I will make sure that Roe versus Wade gets overturned." And he succeeded. He got 3 Supreme Court justices in there, and they turned it around. It happened to happen on Biden's watch, but it was Trump's Supreme Court justices that turned the tide. So for people who are anti-abortion, he is their savior. He's delivered. He delivered the goods. There's a tremendous, we were just shocked to see the connection between God, Jesus, Trump, and guns. And it all kind of is combined. I mean, millions of people who own guns, who follow Trump. and believe that he is God's chosen person. So and Putin has stated very, very clearly, he knows the United States was behind the breakup of the USSR. He wants revenge. His goal is to break up the United States the same way the United States broke up the USSR. And he knows the way to do that is by creating a civil war. And therefore, that's why he's invested so much money into political division that creates a whole us versus them mentality. I'll read a couple more comments and then hear from Lori. Sylvia writes, I agree with Richard. We need a new system. The Palenque movement, which of course we've spotlighted on our show, of indigenous elders coming together, is a powerful invitation. Carol writes, as Jesus famously said, they know not what they do. And Karen writes, I emailed the link for Project 2025 months ago. I read enough of it back in the fall to know that what they have planned is going to be the end of the United States as we knew it. So, thank you for those of you that are already hip to this. And again, this is a different awakening world than we normally do. It's a little bit heavier, a little bit certainly more political. It's darker than we probably have ever done before or almost ever done. But it is because, wow, this is a very important year in United States history.
So I'm really appreciating that everybody's taking this seriously.
Yeah.
I'm very much appreciating it. And I think we'll have a chance to give those of you who want to follow the other film series chances to ask questions, and you'll monitor the chat. And I'm going to have some special speakers on this one. Emma Bryant, who is somebody who has studied propaganda and has been involved in The Great Hack as a movie, and another one, People You May Know, which we're also going to show, is going to be available to also answer some very specific questions. And so just to let you know, Cambridge Analytica was confronted by the British Parliament after Brexit won. And actually, England is in much more trouble economically now than it's ever been.
Yeah, Brexit's a disaster.
And it was a hacking group that has now was forced to end itself, cease and desist, by the British government. But they also worked with the Trump campaign. And when 2016, when everybody was so surprised all of a sudden that Donald Trump won, a lot of this was done, but with electronic persuasion, okay? And that's a very serious thing. And so you might say, well, after they broke up, what are they doing? Oh, they're operating under another company name. Oh, come on. It was something that was very exciting for them because it has a feeling of power and manipulation and money, And so that makes people want to do something again. And the woman, Brittany Kaiser, who you saw just briefly there, there's good evidence that she is working again. She worked with Putin, and she's working again in a subtle sort of way. There's a possibility with Putin, because if you've ever worked with Putin and you try to leave, guess what happens?
And
you get eliminated.
And tell the audience about what you've learned about Trump's long-term relationship to Putin.
Oh, yes. Now that comes in another movie that we're going to show called Active Measures. And I had no idea that Trump and Putin were friends for 30 years, and that he brought his older children to Russia when they were teenagers. And that the Trump Tower in New York was seen as the place to do effective money laundering. And there were...
For the Russian government, when the Russian oligarchs, when the Russian oligarchs many of them, the ones that came to the United States all moved into Trump Tower. And this is all documented. and Trump Tower became the landing
Best
place
place.
for Russian.
But they did do some money laundering in other places as well. And so what we want to know is that there are foreign operators affecting our elections, especially our presidential. And we need to try to oppose this because we as Americans want to elect our people. And, you know, it's distressing to think that it could be designed. And I've been involved with election work for a long time. And Russians have tried to change our elections for many years. So has, by the way, the other people involved was Israel, Iran, and China, all trying to change our elections. But Putin was by far the most popular and powerful, rather.
There's a lot of comments that have come in, Lori, so I'm gonna read them. So Jude writes, yes, this is a different show, but it is awakening. Carol writes, I'm usually in bed now, but this is so important. Ian writes, this is heavy and very important, and Canada will be right behind the wave. Karen, thank you very much. She sent me the link for an article that she read a couple of days ago that breaks down some of the code words that are being used. So I'll check that out and I'll share that with the audience, Karen. Carol writes, I just left a British school where I worked for 3 years and I'm very up on the UK political scene. So tell us more, Carol. Jerry writes, if you want to understand what is happening from an amazing point of view, Barbara Walters has an extremely educational TED Talk about how the United States is headed towards another civil war. Barbara Walters talking about it.
Wow.
Well, I'll take a look at that, maybe even show part of it. George Noble writes that Benjamin Fulford.net reports that his intelligence sources say the United States will be broken up, similar to the USSR. And he has quite a background there. Carol just wrote, Trump has the most expensive real estate deal in Florida with a known Russian oligarch. Sonia and Jeffrey write, I appreciate this Awakening World show, and I'm aware of our level of thinking of history, but I believe there's something much bigger unfolding. There's a greater power operating at the universal level that I like to call the Levolution. I pray and hope we can help humanity and the earth be part of it.
So I would recommend do some of that and do some clear action and education on another level,
Like,
side by side.
like Marianne Williamson said when she was on our show 2 weeks ago, Lori, she said, I pray in the morning and I kick ass in the afternoon and I pray again in the evening.
So, and also Karen S. says, people don't study history. What happened in Germany in the 1920s and 30s is too much like what's happening in our country today.
That's right.
And I have to say that. And so when I hear Trump talking about the angel of death will be visiting a number of prominent Democrats, I mean, that's what Hitler did. He wiped out all of his political opposition.
And it's what
He's
Putin does. Putin
Yeah,
does that
that's
too
true, too.
currently. I mean, there's a long history of people that die mysteriously because they crossed Putin or they were, you know, a problem for Putin, you know. So, you know, we have to recognize that Putin, I think most people recognize Trump looks up to Putin. He wants to, you know, he appreciates Putin's, you know, power.
Been friends together for 30 years.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, he has quoted things like, oh no, he's a good man. He's a smart man. I respect him. This is scary. This is scary.
Not a man who you'd expect has introduced his children when they were teenagers. Here, meet Vladimir Putin. He's a good man to follow and emulate.
So in a moment, we're going to show another trailer, but just a couple more comments that have come in. Sylvia writes, Heather Cox Richards offers almost daily letters on current events in the United States from a historical perspective. So thank you for sharing that. Carol writes, I don't quite know what the context is there. He helped him by burying money so he didn't have to pay a spousal divorce settlement. Oh, right. Yeah. Putin and the Russians bailed when Trump when Trump's big casino failed, Trump lost everything on a casino, the Taj Mahal casino. It's going to be the biggest casino in the world. It was a huge flop in New Jersey. He went bankrupt. No banks would support him. It was the Russians that supported him. This is documented. She showed me the movie where they document all of this. So there's some really scary relationships there. There's Carol points out there's another movie called Clear and Present Danger, which relates to the real estate deal in Florida. So I think, we're getting the idea, and I'm appreciating how Carol and Karen and Jerry and all of you are responding here. So thank you. So do you want to set up a little bit about the People You May Know trailer that we're about to watch?
Yes. Now, the first movie came out in 2019. It's Cambridge Analytica. I've already told you that they're still operating just under different names. Okay, and they can be bought. There's a whole sting operation that was done by Emma Bryant, who's going to be presenting in at the time of the Great Hack, so that you can understand that these people won't stop at anything for money. Okay, so the Clear and the one on People You May Know was actually designed by Emma Bryant. And that's where you see things get a lot more specific. You see that the influencers and the pulling of data, that gets very focused in the evangelical churches. So when you watch God and Country and you see these evangelicals going crazy, really, to elect Trump, this has been a product of very careful management and manipulation by, among other things, Trump supporters and Putin and all that, to influence American minds. And so what they do as influencers is they have the data points. So they know if you're getting a divorce, they know if your mother is sick and she's dying, they know if your child is misbehaving, they know if you're struggling with alcohol. They have all this data points on you, which they get from, among other things, Facebook, but other things too, other Instagram, X, various different things. They pull data on you, and then they sent the data of the vulnerable ones to the evangelical churches. And then some churches wanted that more people coming in, some were actually more ethical, but they bring people in and then they start influencing you, saying, okay, your mother is dying and we can offer support here in this church. And that's very nice and wonderful. But then later it pulls into LGBTQ is bad, or abortion is bad. And then if you want to change our world, elect President Trump. So you'll see how this begins to be a product of influencers in the Republican Party, unfortunately. So.
All right, thank you, Lori. Here's the trailer for People You May Know, which we're going to show on
After
Friday, June 14th. So,
and the creator of this movie will be available to answer questions.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So Friday, June 7th is The Great Hack. Friday, June 14th is this movie that you're about to see, People You May Know. And here we go. Come on. There's this weird thing happening where I'll have movies queued up, and instead of starting like they're supposed to, they're being ornery. Okay, this one, here we go. Let's try it again.
Can you make it big?
Yes, I will.
It stopped. It just stopped.
Do people in churches know their personal information is being gathered to use in political campaigns?
No.
The meetings are secret, the membership is secret. Kellyanne Conway is a member, Steve Bannon is a member. They hope to use Trump as God's wrecking ball.
I had used and worked with predictive analytics and big data tools. What would it look like to use it within the realm of ministry? There's no better product than the gospel.
I read an article that you said you worked with the original data guys, Cambridge Analytica.
We worked with
I was sure that there must be something that would lead us to being able to nail Cambridge Analytica.
There's a reason that not many people have come forward and spoken about Cambridge Analytica.
I'm in Paddington Station and I've got this hard drive on me and I'm just terrified.
It helps us to track people. It helps us to keep track of all the kids that are here.
All of a sudden you have this ability to enumerate things about Beth, or you can draw it out.
They began isolating me away from my family.
With one person, it's like, one single grain of gunpowder.
And then we have here taking the state for Christ together.
But when you've got a huge pile of it, you don't want a match to get anywhere near it because it'll kill you.
You can add the family dynamic of propensity for divorce.
They're targeting extraordinarily vulnerable individuals.
Opioid dependence, different mental health disorders.
States decide to rewrite the U.S. Constitution.
The ultimate position to be in is when your adversary has no idea that they're in a war.
My secret recorders are these.
Past security, past the Secret Service.
I bring greetings from President Donald Trump.
There's two ways to rewrite the U.S. Constitution. You can handle marriage equality, you can handle issues of women's rights, term limits.
The American government is slated for destruction.
We own the relationship space. Like, we own it. That's the church.
I'm going to read a few more comments that come in. Richard writes, Trump lost me when he was the father of the vaccine and has yet to say anything negative about it. We know he's pro-pharma. George writes, many German scientists moved here following World War II, most famously Wernher von Braun. Not surprising to see fascism erupting within the United States. Carol writes, Article 5 is very much being pushed as an agenda. This supports the Constitution completely. Common Cause is a great organization that is fighting this in every state. Carol, I'm really appreciating how aware you are about this, so thank you. Lori, is there anything you want to add?
Well, I do it before the end of the show. I want to mention some of the other shows.
Yeah.
Okay. But I am wondering, how many people were aware that their data was being used? And you don't have to be just joining an evangelical church to affect elections.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So that's the question. How many of you knew that your data is being used to be targeted so that then you could start receiving advertising that touches your tender spots that could then persuade you to move into a direction?
But if none of them are in a swing state, they may not have experienced it.
Okay. Richard writes, not surprised about data. Ensure that it's used by all sides of the aisle. That makes sense, Richard. Thank you.
I actually have investigated that, and the Democrats are much more on a beginning level and have not invested the kind of money in it.
Mm-hmm.
And for instance, there is a small influencing company in Arizona trying to reach out to Latinos and Native Americans. And it's a small operation and it's not heavily funded. I mean, this this other kind of work, this is funded by the Koch brothers and others at billions of dollars. Project 2025 was funded for $22 million, you know? And so people are very invested in certain people winning.
Yeah.
So
Susan writes, Facebook uses data obtained elsewhere to supply their feed, right? Carol writes, I have a stay the course value system, which is not going to be influenced away from my gut knowledge of right and wrong and pro-environmental policies.
all right.
Carol's a teacher, by the way, Lori, so
Yeah,
you would
no,
definitely have a lot.
that's great. And then teaching other people how to look at what's happening to their data. Of course, if there's anybody here who's, let's say in Nevada,
Mhm.
that's a swing state.
Right.
You know, that would Arizona, and
Arizona.
a different
I think to just digest a little bit of this, it's time for an Omashar song.
idea.
Yeah, so I'm going to go to beloved brother Omashar, and definitely continue to give us your comments. Love to hear from any and all of you. So please let us know what's going on for you, what your thoughts are about all of this. And I'm turning it over to Omashar with the man with the background. Thank you.
Contemplating everything I knew. Seems as though there's not much left that I would hold on to. Contemplating what is pure and true. Sun and moon and stars and light and earth and water too. We are rising, soaring, flying, living life so free. We are flowing, changing, growing, loving all we see. Glad to know we're coming home again. Open hearts and open minds and open doors and loving friends. Look at the one who's standing by you now. Destiny is in our hands, so leave the density behind. 'Cause we are rising, soaring, flying, living life so free. We are flowing, changing, growing, loving all we see. Turning to the face of those who need the light of truth to help them turn the other cheek and turn around. Lift each other up into the highest point of view so that together we can move to higher ground. Glad to know we're coming home again. Open hearts and open minds and open doors and loving friends. Contemplating what is pure and true. Sun and moon and stars and light and earth and water too. 'Cause we are rising, soaring, flying, living life so free. We are flowing, changing, growing, loving all we see. highest point of view, so that together we can move to higher ground. Contemplating everything I know, seems as though there's not much left that I would hold on to.
Let's all twinkle our beloved Omashar.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Omashar. What was the line that you really liked, Lori? You mentioned that there's a line that you just heard.
Each other up to a better point of view, you know, a more enlightened point of view.
Lift each other up into the highest point of view so that
Yeah.
together we can move to higher ground.
Right. Well, I
And,
think we all have to do that. Mhm.
And then turning to the face of those who need the light of truth to help them turn the other cheek and turn around.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's perfect. That's perfect. And of course, Lynn and Leaf just wrote spiritual peace through music. Yes. And may we all lift each other up. And that's what we want to do here for sure. I'm sure anything that comes up for you in this conversation?
A lot. Holy smoke. It's pressing little buttons from everywhere. However, I'm not going to make any comment because I'm Switzerland. It's like what happens is if I'm not fully in my center when I'm receiving this information, I hear some information and I feel myself be swayed over that way. I'll hear some information, I'll be swayed over that way. And then I'll pull myself back and go, hang on a minute, what about me? What do I think? Because there's a part of us which just follows the story and the truths that are being disseminated tonight, because they are truths, but it doesn't mean that they're complete truths. It just means that they're what they are. And so I don't have any comment on it, but I'm glad to be exposed to the reality of it, reality of what is happening in the what I call the third dementia. It's not third dimension, it's third dementia. And it just gives me extra fuel to stay in the center and to be completely discerning about wherever I put my attention. And so that is, I guess that's my comment. So
yeah, it's a very good comment.
What I want to say is I don't think there's any reason to feel hopeless or overwhelmed for a long period of time. I think it's great what you're saying. And
absolutely, I agree totally, because the mind has a tendency to go where the loudest shouter is, let's say, and we're all learning now to stay at 12 o'clock. And I do notice myself with the power and intensity of this conversation tonight, and especially as it's a topic which is on the minds of pretty much the whole of the United States. There's a lot of energy behind it. And I realize the gift to me is that hang on a minute, I can actually see through it all and remain myself in the center and not be pulled down by it. So just what you were saying, Laurie. So yeah.
Right. So it's very possible. The reason I'm doing this is to wake people up. And there's all sorts of ways that people have of spreading the word themselves, doing little things or big things, but holding the knowledge and communicating it to other people is value.
Yes. Thank you.
So before we show the next film, the trailer that is for Active Measures, which elucidates the relationship more between Trump and Putin, the full film does, the trailer to some degree. I want to mention that another part of Project 2025 is the breaking up of NATO. And you know, Trump would like to, and Putin would really like to have NATO broken up. And Putin would love to move into some other of the smaller territories, perhaps more, you know, like Estonia.
Well, he wants to rebuild the USSR. Yeah, that's his job.
And they're very frightened of it. And a lot of Europeans are starting to build up their forces with awareness that Trump will be of no help to them.
Yeah. I want to read a few more comments, and then we're going to show one more trailer. Dorina Joy writes, not only data is being hacked massively, but with the exponential rise and use, especially of generative artificial intelligence, there are too many warnings, yet little action to prevent the worst case scenarios of total disruption of the United States 2024 elections and worse. Thank you. Lennon Leaf write, our spiritual movement will reveal the truth of what we are to do. Kathy writes, RFK Jr. is polling higher. He cares about humanity, the environment, and our democracy. I'm supporting him. Trump and Biden have been doing things to keep him out of the debates. They know he is intelligent and would make them both look ridiculous.
I want to share a point about this.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so I am aware when Hillary and Obama were fighting in the primary.
No, it wasn't Hillary and Obama. Oh, in the primary.
Yes. Obama ended up creating a move where he absorbed Hillary by making her the Secretary of State. Okay, and she backed down from running against him in the primary. I have an idea, and I've done some interface. I like some things that RFK promotes a great deal with the environment, and I've supported that. If RFK, who says he will not be a spoiler, if it's about equal between Trump and Biden, and RFK, let's say, has 20% of the votes, if he's going to give that up to the Democratic Party because he prefers Biden to Trump, you know, I would want to see him argue for a very strong cabinet position, just like Obama did for Hillary. So it's an idea. I'm not saying anybody will do it, but I'm trying to spread it among followers of RFK. And I've given a little bit of money to that, but I'm more concerned and frightened by Trump.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so
thank you. I'm going to read a few more comments. Karen writes, yes, I'm an independent now, and I'm going for RFK Jr. Somebody named iPhone writes, thank you for bringing all of this into the light. And Grace points out that there has been GOP money backing RFK because that could, just like Ralph Nader, you know, paid an impact in Gore losing to Bush. So there is that concern.
but Trump's gotten very angry at RFK.
Yeah.
Because RFK was pulling, well, he was featured on Fox News, and he was pulling a lot more interest and votes from Fox
Trump.
News, you know, than Trump was. So Trump really got on his case.
Grace writes, I would like to see Marianne Williamson be part of Biden advisors. Yes, I think we all would. Marianne is certainly our candidate, no doubt about it. And you might recall when I asked her about if she would like to be the head of the Department of Peace, she lit up, and clearly that's something I know that she would love to see happen.
Me too.
And Carol does point out that RFK doesn't even have the Kennedy family behind him. It's true.
Except for one or two.
Yeah, but the majority of the Kennedy family has been critical of him because I think they are, you know, strong part of the Democratic institution. You know. I do want to say the mainstream media clearly has not treated RFK fairly. You know, they've tried to make him out to look really bad. And I do wish that he was more included, just like I wish Marianne was more included in the process.
Me too.
Yeah.
Feel that way too.
All right, we're going to show active measures, but you want to share a
Just
couple
a few
things. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to make sure you knew that NATO is being threatened currently. Trump wins. And then also that you'll see some indications of what Putin is really doing and how Putin really supports Trump. But if you stay tuned on this film series, you'll see for yourself. And then we will also have somebody else talking during that time who knows from the Ukrainian underground the work that's being done by Putin to change the American elections. And how does he know it? The Ukrainians can listen to the Russians on the internet. And Ukraine is the first place that Russians try anything, whether it's taking it over or creating fake news in the Ukraine. That's where fake news was first developed.
Oh, really?
By the Russians to convince the Ukrainians to divide up. And then part of Ukraine did divide up with Donetsk,
Right.
and some of those areas. And they were trying to create Ukraine caving in and fighting it on them itself.
I'm going to read a few more comments and then we'll show the trailer. Karen Eisenberg writes, I would love to see Marianne and RFK Jr. together. Carol writes, reality is that Biden has to be, sorry, I lost it. Reality is that Biden has to be the choice. I'm not in a swing state. However, the popular vote needs to humiliate Trump. Sylvia is offering a brief meditative experience, lifting up the eighth fire. Yes, Sylvia, we will do that. Carol writes, I've been a third-party voter many times, including Perot, Nader, Jill Stein, but this time it's got to be Biden, even though he pisses me off on several topics. Grace writes, they want him to make Biden lose. Kathy, there's info backing that he is backed by big money from MAGA elements who want Trump to win. And Grace is looking for the specifics that she'll post. Carol writes, let's not overlook the friendship that is getting really powerful between China and Russia. This is true. So anyway, we're going to wrap this up in a moment. But we're going to show one more trailer. This is the movie Active Measures, which will be the
number 3 in the series.
number 3 in the series. Here we go. Hopefully it'll play this time. You know, I do not know what's going on with these movies that I
Yeah, it goes.
pulled on. No, that's the red one. So you're gonna have to talk about it for a moment because I'm gonna have to pull it back up for a moment. It's gonna take a minute. There's something strange going on with showing my movies here. There we go. Here we go. Come on.
President Trump. Just now, President Putin denied having anything to do with the election interference in 2016. Every U.S. intelligence agency has concluded that Russia did. My first question for you, sir, is who do you believe?
Putin has worked to undermine democracies across the globe.
He made his way up through the KGB.
He learned how to maneuver politically.
The Russian mafia is an adjunct of the Russian government.
And they help maintain Mr. Putin's power.
To the point where Putin may well be the wealthiest man on the face of the planet.
How does Russia launder money into America?
Everything I know that's interesting, I can't tell you.
The Russians have a particular type of mark. They go after somebody who has business resources, shady morals, and political connections or aspirations. I've just described Donald Trump.
Putin realizes that if we're divided as a nation, we cannot protect ourselves from threats within and without.
And what you have is probably the biggest intelligence breach in the history of the world.
The crown jewel for any intelligence agency is to recruit an asset inside your adversary's intelligence agency.
They seem to have premonitions of things that were going to happen that in fact did happen.
The question is, who helped guide the decisions that the Russians were making?
Trump Tower was a money laundering paradise.
Anybody who was anybody in Russian organized crime bought a condo unit at Trump Tower.
We have a serious intelligence operation in the home of the man who becomes president of the United States. I think this is the tip of the iceberg.
What's at stake is truth and the cause of liberty at the most profound level possible.
So that'll be our third film that we're showing. And obviously I've watched this one with Lori. It's powerful. I learned so much from it. It was like, oh my God, wow. So I'm going to read more comments, and then we'll kind of wrap this part up and conclude with a little bit more of a community chat about other things. But there's some wonderful comments who have come in. Carol writes, thank you for doing this, my Global Peace Tribe friends. I so appreciate this venue and our sharing of important topics. Karen writes, I know some of the people who are supporting RFK Jr. behind the scenes, and they appear to me to be very much in the Christian nationalist camp. Well, that's interesting. Grace writes, Biden has made mistakes, but he is honest, has heart, and cares. You know, that's my stance about him. I mean, this is a man whose wife and son died in a car accident, and you watch him, he clearly has compassion for human beings. Although his support of Israel at this time doesn't work for me. I just got to say that. Carol says, I was reminding myself earlier the 10 Commandments, and Trump has pretty much broken every one of them. How is he the poster child for the evangelical community? Because he succeeded.
He's a tool of the evangelical community. They don't even believe in him. They use him as useful, and they say it.
And he successfully overturned Roe versus Wade,
Right.
which is what they wanted to get done,
That's
and
the
they did
big
it.
gathering force. Yeah.
Drina Joy writes, meanwhile, Mexico is about to elect its first woman president, but violence has overshadowed the glass ceiling that's being shattered as criminal groups keep expanding their reach. The former Mexico City mayor is the front runner in a landmark election this weekend, where Mexico is all but certain to emerge with its first female president, a remarkable achievement in a country known for its patriarchal culture and high rates of gender-based violence, where around 10 women are murdered every day. Drina Joy, thank you for pointing that
Thank
out.
you.
Yeah,
Yes.
I didn't know
Joy.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Sylvia, as we kind of transition out of this, I'm going to go ahead and put the spotlight on you to kind of conclude this piece with kind of bringing us back to our Indigenous way and our Palenque group.
Thank you. Would you also be up for putting Richard and his wonderful Eighth Fire video
Sure
on
will.
the spotlight for us to focus on?
Here we go.
Fabulous. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and tone Om a few times. And before I do that, I invite us each to focus in on the Phoenix fire that is active in our world and through and in each of us. To feel ourselves touching Mother Gaia through whatever we are resting on, and through our connection with each other. If it works for you, I invite you to raise your hands to the screen and sense that golden phoenix fire more deeply connecting each of us. In this awakening process, as Gaia transforms, as we beings of Gaia are transforming. And I invite us to connect with emerging systems of care. Systems emerging out of older paradigms, emerging through this current middle passage, birthing canal. Of density, of dominance, of consumptivitis. So the Phoenix fire. Sacred fire. The universal life force energy, passion, creativity, transformation, purification.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. Thank you.
Aho.
Aho, thank you so much. And it's a beautiful way for us to transition from this particular, from really the majority of tonight's show, which has been focusing on difficult things. And again, if you take a look at this photo of the same fire, the 8th fire, you can see the phoenix rising. At least that's what I see. The phoenix rising from the fire.
Oh, wow.
Over Lori's shoulder. And so may we all really imagine that however things go, let's hold the highest vision for what's possible.
Absolutely.
And each and every one of us follow our own heart. Ultimately, we all have to follow our own heart and our own unique guidance, our own unique wisdom. And that's, I think, a wonderful way to conclude tonight. So thank you, Lori, for all your work. And remember, so mark your Friday nights at 7 p.m. starting next Friday night. And I'm going to put into the chat box the link to where you can register for the next 2 movies. And I'll do that while Omar Shah is playing a closing song. So, and any other comments, please put them in. I'll read them. But Omar Shah is going to do a 3rd and final song. I'll put the links into the chat box and then we'll conclude the evening. All right. Take it away, Brother Omar Shah.
brother, sisters and brothers, sisters and brothers, sisters and brothers, sisters and brothers.
Beautiful. That's all Twinkle Omashar. That was a perfect song to conclude, or almost conclude the show. We got a couple more announcements, but thank you, Omashar. That was beautiful.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, we love our Omashar. And Dia writes, yes, we are the heart, the joy, the light, and love in our world indeed. Thank you, Omashar.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Laurie.
A couple of announcements. This Saturday night's show, I don't have a poster yet because we're still adding presenters. Last week was a big conference of the Evolutionary Leaders Network in Ibiza. And it was a combination of evolutionary leaders and the Holo movement. And so Reverend Deborah Moldow is my co-host. And we're going to have the founders of the Holo movement joining us, talking about what took place at that conference in Ibiza last week. So Saturday night show is going to be very dynamic. And we're going to have some of the people you know, like Zenka Caro was there, Dr. Marty Casey, Gary Malkin. So a lot of people you know, and a few people that we haven't had before on our show. And then our good friend Deborah Giusti has just created a new transformational guide. And I've just put the link into the chat box. And it's the 2024 West Coast Transformational Events Guide, your ultimate compilation of high vibe festivals and conferences. And it's a way that you can, it's free. You put in the link and it takes you to where you can see all the different festivals that are happening. Just put in your name and your email address. It's free of charge. And then as you see the different festivals that are happening, you can buy your tickets through Deborah and get discounts. So this is a wonderful way to know what's happening with festivals, including, I'm sure Laurie periodically does little baby small festivals.
Or
like
participates in them.
Yeah, participates in them quite a bit herself. So Omashar has something to say, which is important.
Well, it's more of a an uplift for one of the members of our tribe, and beloved Maureen Edwardson, who is from Vancouver, went to the Holo movement in Ibiza and had a heart attack. And, and she's good. She's come through it, and it's an amazing person. I mean, amazing breakthrough that she had. But she posted it a couple of days ago. And she pronounced it as a massive heart attack in which one of her arteries was 100% blocked. Anyway, they caught it and they fixed it, and she is standing up and smiling, and you wouldn't believe anything had happened. And so I'm just giving a shout out to our beautiful sister who's been on this show as a participant many times and as a guest, I think a couple of times, Scott.
Yeah.
And anyway, she is recovering. She is still in Ibiza. I doubt whether she's going to be able to travel for a little while. I know that most of the people are leaving the island now because the Holo Movement conference completed a day or two ago. But so maximum grace for Maureen.
Let's take a moment for that. And you all remember Maureen. She was at our LA retreat in person, and she has been on the show many times. So thank you. I'm sorry, I did not know that about Maureen. So maximum grace. I'll go to gallery view. Maximum grace for Maureen Edwardson. Maximum grace for Maureen Edwardson. Maximum grace for Maureen. And while we're in prayer mode, let's send maximum grace to Piper. Our beloved Piper is definitely dealing with some very, very life-threatening situation. So sending maximum grace to Piper. Maximum grace to Piper. Maximum grace to Piper. And as we send out our prayers for Piper and Maureen, we see beloved Eleanor and Ian. And it shows our prayers make a difference, or at least helps. They're back together. She's not in the hospital. She's moving and grooving to the music. So how are you feeling, Eleanor? How are you doing?
I am doing so much better. When I came home on Tuesday, on Wednesday, I collapsed with not being able to breathe. And on Thursday onwards, I am doing great.
All right.
Corner.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Ian, for taking good care of her. We love you, Eleanor Joy. It's so good to see you back out of the hospital and with us.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea. Thank you for all your loving support.
All right, everybody. Well, that's our show for tonight. Big thanks to Lori Grace. And we'll see you, of course, this Saturday night. And please mark your next Friday nights at 7 o'clock to join us for our film series. Thank you very much, everybody. And we'll see you on Saturday night. Good night.